Hi everyone, welcome back to the Alter Domus YouTube channel. Today I'm joined by TG. And recently you did a interview series with Keith Houghton, right?
Yep.
And that series was really popular, particularly the episode on fraud and abuse. And there was a lot of curious questions in the comment section down below of the video. So today I prepared some questions that hopefully you can answer for the audience who might have more questions on this related to this topic. So firstly, how would you define fraud and abuse?
Thank you, Ivan. I've actually written down the fraud and abuse, and in particular for this episode as well, because there are really a lot of fraud and abuses happening. So I do not want to miss out any of them. So that's why I come prepared with this. Now, what does it mean by fraud and abuse? Fraud is doing something illegal by the standards of law.
Okay.
It means that you can technically get caught and legal action can be taken. That is fraud. Abuse simply means that it is not illegal. It's just that it was used as not what it meant to be. So in this particular case, what I am going to do is that I'm going to first start off with fraud. So the second part, I will specifically mention that this is abuse. So for fraud, you have people committing it, and it is technically illegal. Oh, our coffee is here.
All right.
Thank you very much. I think he has one more, correct?
All right.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you.
Okay. So, I've written down already. So that is the fraud and abuse. And usually it goes hand in hand.
Yep.
Because when you have, see, Malaysia is, as what I have said in the previous video, is that Malaysia is a country where the government actually trusts everybody.
Yep.
They don't really go after you like a police state. So therefore, with this, people tend to commit fraud and abuses. And up till today, Malaysia is still liberal on this. I think that is a very good point. Because Malaysia is not a police state, and we don't even have thousands of CCTVs everywhere, or asking you like in Thailand to report to the immigration where you stay. Every 3 months you have to go there and do that. Malaysia doesn't even record where you are staying. So it's this kind of freedom that makes people think that they should, quote unquote, try to take advantage and abuse and create fraud for this system.
Then how common would you say is fraud and abuse, especially as we're talking about MM2H? How common is it pre-COVID and then post-COVID?
Okay, pre-COVID, there are two sections. The first section was until 2006, 2002 to 2006.
Okay.
2002 to 2006, it was done. Everything was processed locally at the state immigration. So if you have viewed my Keith Houghton video, the first part, you will realize that when you are talking about decentralized processing, every different department, every different state has its own interpretation.
Okay.
So that alone is a way for people to abuse and defraud the system. For example, Kedah might say, I need ABC. Johor might say, no, I need ABD. So again, when you don't have a centralized system, things happen all the time. And fraud is always there because some states will be easier, some states will be more difficult. If you want to apply, you can always go to the easier states and apply, and then you stay on the difficult states.
Out of curiosity, what are some of the easier states and some of the difficult?
We do not know. For example, like if let's say, oh good, thank you so much. Okay, let's say for example, Penang, KL, Johor, they process a lot of it. Okay. Now let's say for one of the states, example, pre-2006 when it was not centralized. Let's say KL. KL has so many applications and there are so many immigration departments. Maybe one in KL City Center, maybe one in Wangsa Maju, maybe one in Cheras, So everybody has its own rules. So you go to one office, they say, I need this letter of no criminal record, I need this to be certified, attested. But then you go to another office, or even into another state like like Terengganu or even Kelantan, where they have never even seen an MM2H before. Okay. So you may even convince him, no, it's okay, it's very easy only. You just need to accept this and then you give me the documents. So those states might say, okay, maybe, chop, that's it, you get it. Because they are not so exposed to it compared to KL and JB. So this is what I mean by some of the states may be easier last time.
Okay.
And they are not very informed of it. Okay. Oh, we have cakes. Good. This shop really has good cakes.
Really?
Yep. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, nice. I hope I don't get fat.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So sorry about the distraction.
No worries.
It's always good. I like these things. Okay. Now, coming back to it. Pre-COVID, before 2005, 2006, yes, it is built into the system because every state interprets it differently. So you can always say that it is a little bit of an abuse because you go to the other states that are easier, and then you may go to another state to stay. Okay, nobody tracks you, nobody knows what is going on. Now, after 2006, it was all centralized in KL. And if you have, if our viewers have seen my video before, it is actually in PWTC, Putra World Trade Center, in the first few years. After that, they moved over to Putrajaya. It was just a new beginning where they don't know a lot of things. They centralize everything in, and hopefully it works, which is good. Now, one of the things that they made it, which is the ultimate cause for a lot of this fraud, is we call it direct application.
All right.
Direct application means that the person who is interested to get the MM2H can apply on his own. Now, you may look at it, if you are standing on the side of the applicant, you will say, that's good, I don't need to pay horrendous fees to the agents. But you see, not all agents are charging horrendous fee, and not all agents are bad. If you look at Facebook or YouTube or whatever forums, agents are always painted as a very bad group of person. But that is a very broad brush to paint on everybody. If you do not want to use your agent, fine, you do on your own. Because Malaysia is very unique. Not like any other countries around this region where they have their own languages like Bahasa Indonesia, Thai language, Vietnamese or whatever it is, where you have to either know the language or you have to get somebody else to do it. But do I see a lot of complaints from there? I don't know. I did not go into their forums and chat group about this. But they don't have an option. For Malaysia, it's different. Because most of the things are in English or in Malay that you can easily translate. And the people at the government office most likely know English. So you can do a lot of things on your own. So because of this, they allow it to have the direct applicants.
All right.
And I will tell you, the abuse and the fraud, I would say, this is a personal opinion over the years of experience that I have, I would say 70% perhaps is done by the direct applicants. Okay? So, from the time that 2006 until MM2H shut down in 2020, quite a bit of abuse and fraud. Even after COVID,
Okay.
there were fraud. Not so much of an abuse, fraud. And it is generally perpetrated by one country. And this country is the biggest and most populous country that is north of Malaysia. Okay, I will tell you the name of the country later on when we go into this, because there's a direct evidence linking to that. All along the way, steps were actually being taken to reduce the fraud. But the main thing about direct applicants is that because the way the system was set up pre-COVID, direct applicants are allowed. And they are the one that cause a lot of this problem.
Okay.
Okay. So moving forward here, we can talk about the fraud.
Sure.
Okay.
You mentioned just now a lot of fraud and abuse that happens for various reasons, but can you dive in a little bit more deeper of what kind of fraud?
Sure. Why not? Let me just take a sip first.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
It's so good. Okay, now, as what I've mentioned in my previous emails, I beg your pardon, previous videos.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure you have gone through emails as well.
A lot.
Yeah.
Okay, now, in my past videos, I did mention that we are in position to talk about this because there's only a handful of companies that are still operating since 2006. A majority of them has closed down or they are out of business or whatever it is. So we have the rights to explain about this because we have gone through it. Yes, we have the knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay, so what kind of fraud? There are three big categories. The first one is we call done by the applicant himself.
Okay.
This is the big one. The second big one is done by fake agents. So you may ask me, what are fake agents?
Yep.
You see, because MOTEC decided to license companies to do MM2H in 2006. But at the same time, they allow direct applicants. Fake agents are simply MM2H participants who decide to help other people.
Okay, I see.
They have gone through this process themselves. They think they know.
Yeah.
So yes, each time if you go to the MOTEC one-stop center for MM2H, you will see people that are not agents, but they are helping others. They will say that, agent charges you 3,000 ringgit. I only charge you 1,000.
Okay.
Now, that is not what it meant when MM2H was set up and they want direct applicant and they want agents. What they are looking at when they set up at that point of time, they were thinking that, agents will be agents doing it to work for people and direct applicants will be direct applicants.
Yep.
They are not going to help anybody. But unfortunately, there are two countries. If you go and sit at the MM2H center, as far as I can see when I'm there are usually two nationalities. One is Chinese and one is usually Bangladeshis.
Oh, so there's Chinese and Bangladeshis. They're acting as agents.
Fake agents.
Fake agents. Yeah.
They got the MM2H.
Okay.
And they are helping. And you can see that straight away because they will tell the clients what to see, what to do and everything. But technically, this is not fraud. You see, this is an abuse.
Yeah.
Because it was not illegal. You are just trying to help him. But what I mean by fake agents means, let's say for example, there is this guy who is illiterate who wants to apply. An agent charges him 5,000 ringgit, example, for whatever work done. This fake agent will just apply and say, yeah, I've got the MM2H ready. I'll charge you 3,000 for that. Now, the problem here is that that guy who is hiring the fake agent, knowingly or unknowingly, may have passed all the documents to them, but whether the fake agent will submit the right document or if he fabricates all the documents. I have heard before there are agents, whether it is licensed or not, I do not know, or whether they are fake agents in KL, where I was told that to get the MM2H, this was pre-COVID.
Okay.
All you need to pass to me is your passport page with details and a piece of photograph. I will get the MM2H visa for you.
Okay, sure.
So what happened to the rest of the documents like marriage certificate, birth certificate, letter of no criminal record? Fabricated. Now, whether his client knows about this or not, we don't know.
Yeah.
His client maybe naively thinks that, it is okay. He knows what he's doing, so he passed to him. He may not even know that he is licensed.
Yep.
Okay? He is not licensed. So he just goes there and asks his friend to submit everything, or he can submit, oh, this one is my friend, Or he can even post it in to the MOTEC and get them to process it. So for him, there's no overhead, there's no need of licensing. He can do anything fake, and they cannot catch him because they say that, oh, this is under the application, his application.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong. I just help him to do it.
Yeah.
So this is what I mean by fake agents.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I imagine a lot of those fake agents who are Chinese and Bangladeshis are targeting Chinese and Bangladeshis.
Correct.
Because there seems to be a bond there.
Correct.
On the surface level. And that thus bumping up the fraud cases. Oh.
Yes. I'm not saying that all these countries are bad.
Yep.
It's just that when you are at the MM2H center, when you sit there, we agents know each other.
Yep.
Okay. But then when they start to talk, you'll see now, this is the guy whom I have helped to act MM2H. Now he's helping the rest.
Yeah.
So from here, you will see that some of them are from China, some of them are from Bangladesh. And that's all.
Yep.
There are people who do it on their own. It's fine. They think they have all the time in the world. By all means, go ahead. Okay? But this is the cause and the source of fraud and abuse. Of course, there are always some dishonest licensed agents. Okay? But I don't think that is really a huge number, because if they really want to do big time and they want to continue with their business, doing all these fraudulent things doesn't help in your long-term future.
Yeah, it's not going to last long.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to focus on fraud by the applicants themselves.
All right, sure.
This is the most important part, you know. There are so many things. When COVID was here, when everything was shut down, we remember that we don't need to certify marriage certificate, and a local lawyer here will do. From 2006 until 2021, 2022. You just need to have a local lawyer to go and stamp and verify it, and the immigration will accept it. When you do renewals, you must be in Malaysia to do the renewals. They want to see the entry stamp, and then they will just take your passport and then you submit. For agents, we do it. It's done.
Yep.
Not difficult. But you know why I say China? When COVID ended and China opened up, 1 week later, immigration sent out directive that all documents must be certified by the embassy.
Oh.
So what do you think of the chances? You see, it is a well-known fact that there are many fake and counterfeit stuff from China. So why not? They could fake all these documents.
So when you say it has to go through the embassy, not just Chinese applicants,
everybody. So
Everyone.
much to the everybody's disgust and, you know, disappointment that everybody
okay.
has to go through.
Okay.
Okay. I was told that there are fake and Photoshop marriage certificate where it is not the wife coming, but it is the mistress that's coming. Or, you know, they change the birth certificate of the child so that the parents are the MM2H applicants because they want to bring their brother's son in to study. And why is it so coincident that 1 week after the Chinese open up, this requirement comes in? It's not a surprise. Okay? And in fact, it is even up till today. I heard, which I cannot verify or confirm, that you can even get a Chinese LOGC, letter of no criminal record, or letter of good conduct. And it comes with all the stamps and everything of the embassy. You can buy it cheaply on Taobao.
Okay.
How true, I don't know. Okay, so that's why we are very wary about this. And I was also informed that how they got to know is because the stamp used by the embassy or Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they have changed the stamp, but they still use the old version. And instead of taking 1 month to get it, they can get it within a week. So again, we are always very wary on all these documents. So am I surprised that there are so many fake documents, and up till today, every single thing has got to be certified by the embassy or the issuing country? Is because of this thing.
Okay.
And it is always to the disadvantage of everybody. You know, one group of people committing all this and the whole group has to suffer from that.
Yep.
Okay. Now, pre-COVID, there's something called the bank verification letter. And in my interview with Keith Houghton, I actually mentioned that.
Yeah, I think I saw that one.
They fake the bank themselves.
Yep.
They fake everything. And I was told, I cannot confirm or deny, they have faked all the stamps of the Malaysian embassy in China or whatever it is. You know, to the point that we are all very scared about this. All the bank statements, you know, instead of just changing the numbers, they just create a fake bank and everything just to get to this. Okay. And of course, the easiest to fake, you see, Malaysia doesn't take properties into account when it comes to liquid assets, because number one, property is not liquid. Property doesn't mean that you want to sell, you can sell. Secondly is I have been informed formally, informally among the agents or whatever we could have heard 10, 20 years ago. They fake the land title, they fake the title deeds, of the house, everything is fake. And marriage certificate, we had a case before. And this one was at the Philippines marriage certificate. Yeah. So we have a client who is marrying a Filipino. They went to Philippines to get married. They came over here, submit inclusion of wife. Mm-hmm. So we did everything. And the Ministry of Tourism asked us that no, they cannot accept this marriage certificate because it must be certified by the Philippines Embassy. Yeah. So of course our clients were very unhappy. Say, what? It's real. Why do I want to do all these things? So he called up the Philippines Embassy and I was informed that Philippines Embassy say, no, you cannot. You have to come to my Philippines Embassy, stand in front of us, then I will discuss. Okay. So he was even angrier because he was not staying in KL. He was staying outside of KL. Okay. So they flew into the embassy the Philippines Embassy in KL, stand in front of them, and the guy said to him, this is fake. And they was like, what? Fake? But yeah, we did it in the church in Manila and all these things. Yes, it is fake. And I was told, how true I do not know, but the real story was when they went to the church, they got everything in. It was an expedited service, more expensive than the normal service. You get it within hours or days. Yep. They put everything in, get everything done. Yep. They never click save. Okay. They've just printed it out, collected the money on their own, and there was none on record in the system.
So it wasn't even the fault of the guy. It was the fault of the guy who...
Yeah, the person who is doing this, they never click the save button. Okay. So they just printed out this marriage certificate paper and pass it to them. Okay. So that's why all these things are happening that causes a lot of the problem. Okay. And again, coming back to renewals, when you are supposed to come into Malaysia and do the renewal, everybody must come in. Your wife must, your kids must come in. So for some, it was a hassle. So again, I was informed that suddenly the immigration said to us that, no, we have to bring the original passports to the MM2H center because they want to see the passport of all the applicants. Yep. It was like, wow, when did this come in? So upon further digging, again, this was after China opened up. Okay. I believe one guy came in, took all the passports of their family members, came in himself, photocopy the entry stamp. Yep. But I don't think he changed the Malaysian entry stamp properly. Okay. And photocopy and say that this is the wife and the kids. So when the guy accepted the application, he looks like, how come all the entry stamps on all the passport looks the same? That's where it came out. Yeah. So this is again illegal because you are trying to cheat the government.
Trying to find a loophole.
It's not a loophole. You're supposed to come over here.
Yeah.
I'll talk about the loophole later on, but this is not a loophole because this is an intention to defraud. So you have the fake entry stamp issues. They just fake it because they want it. Of course, all the bank statements are all very easy to fake. The next one, in 2010, there was this thing that is very interesting. They changed the requirements a little bit in the sense that if you have bought a property, you don't need to put in money and withdraw out. You can actually put in half the fixed deposit amount of money by just showing that you have bought a property, the sales and purchase agreement. Fake sales and purchase agreement. They get a lawyer or themselves to draft out all this sales and purchase agreement, which was a fake one, and showed it to us and say that he already had the property and he wants to deposit half the money only. Why? Because during that time, pre-COVID in 2010, 11 or 12, there's no need to buy a property. And because you can show that you have this sum, you only deposit half. Sure, why not? I just make a fake one. I deposit half because I don't have so much money. So they just did it. Fake S&P. And even today, you see, people may think that, oh yeah, when we submit the sales and purchase agreement for the new MM2H, what if the sales did not go through and the S&P become void? you get back your money. You may think, yeah, I can go past this without buying any property now, because what if I submitted the SPA and then it was rejected because of state consent or whatever it is, then the ministry doesn't check, then I got scot-free without buying any property. Well, how would you know that the ministry is not going to check? You see? So people are finding this, they think it is a loophole. For us, we are very simple in Alter Domus. We tell our clients we only do the legal way.
Yeah.
So we are enforcing this. We are making sure that they are buying a property.
Yeah.
Because we ourselves don't want to get into a trouble with people who think that they can try to outsmart the system by buying a property, getting the SPA voided, and then voila, I don't need to buy a property anymore.
Yeah.
Which is not correct.
Yeah. Okay. Long term, it's not going to benefit you as well.
Yeah, but they don't think it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. So that even you have the fake SPA.
Yep.
Now, the next part, again, done by applicants themselves. Last time, the ministry allows change of banks. If you go to Bank A and you don't like the services of Bank A or interest rate is low, you can change to Bank B.
Okay.
So what happens was, they allow you to change from Bank A to B. They give you a withdrawal letter to withdraw money from Bank A, and they tell the applicant that when you go to Bank B, put the money in, give us the money again. Give us the letter again, say that you have put into Bank B.
Yep.
So there are many people who got the money out from Bank A that never go to Bank B to put it in.
Okay.
But the visa is already 10 years on the passport.
Okay.
That's also one of the reasons why they shorten it to 5 years. Because these kinds of people are doing all these things. So when you take the money out from Bank A and never go to Bank B, oh yeah, I'm so good. I got this MM2H without putting any money because I am allowed to withdraw from Bank A. But so what? I never go to Bank B. They never ask for it. They never catch me. So I'm free. The problem is, they think they outsmarted the system. But when it comes to renewal,
Yeah.
no banks will accept them in.
Yeah.
Because why? Your money is already out.
Okay.
So without the money in the bank, they cannot renew. So right now, they shortened it to 5 years. One of the reasons was this. People disappeared, thinking that they got away, and then come back, and then they cannot do. So that's why they say all visas are probably, right now, all visas in Malaysia is only 5 years the maximum.
But when they get caught, does that mean their MM2H is automatically terminated, or?
Yeah, for this particular case, change of bank is because they cannot put the money into the bank anymore. The bank does not want to accept him anymore.
Okay.
So without that document, they cannot continue the MM2H.
And I imagine if you go to other bank, they will have...
All of them will say no.
Yeah.
They're not going to accept you because the banks themselves got hit as well.
Yeah.
They were penalized as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is the change of banks. Fraud is actually fraud already, because that is not abuse. Fraud means that you commit something illegal.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is also setting up businesses. And this one, I have to say, again, is mostly from China. A lot of pre-COVID in 2005 and 6, they did not set up the business. They were actually working in Nasi Kandar. Some of the Chinese work in KTV. You know what they are doing, all these things. But those are employees. Those are syndicates of human trafficking bringing them in, because at that point of time, a 5-year visa. So within the 5 years, they can make money out of this, illegal indentured workers. In this case, it's legal, so-called legally in here. But they are not allowed to work, but they are still working. So it is actually fraud.
Yeah.
And after that, sometime in 2012 and 2010 to 2012, they say that you can set up a business here with good intentions, because when you are retired here, you have nothing to do. Maybe a small business will help you pass time. But unfortunately, because employment pass or work permits are very difficult to get, they decide to get the MM2H as a means to set up a business here. They have no intention to retire here. They actually wanted to do business here.
Ulterior motive.
Yes, they wanted to do the business here, but they do not want to get the hassle of an employment pass.
Yeah.
So immediately after a couple of months, I think, or 1 year, they took down the website on setting up a business already. Because they will say, yeah, you allow it, it's in your website. So they take it down. So the new MM2H say, no business, no shareholding, no work.
Okay. But the old one allowed it.
They cannot enforce it on the old one because they never specifically say about business. They say only work.
Okay.
So that is the business part of the fraud. And the last one here, a little bit related, is driving license. Yes, there were a lot of fakes. There's something called the fake verification letter. Verification letter is issued by the license issuer. For example, if you have a license from Australia, let's say from the Queensland, then the Queensland Department of Transport has to issue a letter to you saying that your name, you don't have any traffic offenses, no drink driving, you are allowed to ride a motorbike, a car, or whatever it is. Some people just fake that letter. Why we know? We have already seen a few. When we take it to the JPJ, Road Transport Department, it was rejected. And we asked why. They said this is fake. Our client never say anything. He just keep quiet.
Okay.
It means he knew he was faking it. See, if they can do it to us, they will do it on themselves, go out and do it. So, because Malaysia, like the change of banks, they trusted you guys. When they talk about the documents and everything, they trusted you guys. The Malaysian government trusted you guys to give good documents. But because you allow direct applicants, and some of these direct applicants are very, I would say, not so good, they tend to do something and affect everybody.
Yeah. A few bad eggs affects everyone.
Yeah, a few bad apples and the whole thing is all gone.
Yeah.
So in summary, for the fraud, you have people posing as agents, and whether they have good intentions or not, nobody knows. Whether the person hiring them knows that they are illegal or not, nobody knows. But because they are allowed to do it, that's why this fraud will continue as long as that exists. So it explains to a lot of people why they say that you need to have an agent. One of the reasons is very simple. If you have agents, the government can hold the agents responsible. Without that, they cannot hold. And it will back to the olden days of fraud again. So a lot of people don't realize, why you need to have an agent? Because we do have a great responsibility on all this. It's not that everybody can be an agent.
Yeah.
You need to have certain things, put in the money or whatever it is. And companies like us, Domus, we already have a track record of doing things the right way.
I feel like I've learned a lot just from this short conversation. But that was just on the first part of fraud and abuse. Can you explain a little bit more on the abuse part now?
Okay. Abuse is not illegal.
Okay.
And one of the most sort of abuse that is really very interesting is maids. You see, the main reason that they allow you to bring in a maid is because you may have worked in some other countries and your kids are so used to the maid. So when you come to Malaysia, they allow you to bring the maid to take care of the kids. But how it was abused was one day about 10 to 12 years ago. The ministry realizes that some of the applicants, single applicants, they look at the processing for the maids, the paperwork, and found that, wow, this lady doesn't really look like a maid.
I can kind of figure where this is going.
Wow. Looks so not maid-like. Upon further investigation, they found it was actually their girlfriends.
Okay.
And they have no intention of marrying.
Okay.
Well, you can bring your girlfriend in and say it's a maid. You are not wrong.
Yep.
Okay, you are not wrong. It is not illegal. It just so happens that she is probably doesn't look like a maid. So at the end, the ministry says that, yes, you can bring in a maid, but you must also bring in your wife. So it's only open to application where you are married and if possibly have kids.
Okay.
So this is an abuse. You're not supposed to do that. The other one that is the fixed deposit withdrawals, tax-free car import and tax-free car purchase. These are all the benefits. Now, tax-free car purchase was stopped in 2017. Again, it was fraud and abuse. It's mostly abuse.
Yep.
How? We have people telling me they are more than happy to sell this tax-free car benefit to anybody for a price of 10 to 20,000. Why? You can buy a tax-free Mercedes BMW at 30% discount.
Okay.
So 30% discount sometimes can amount to 100,000 ringgit.
Yep.
And what happens is that you can buy one. Must be a trust between both parties because the car is registered under the name of the person.
Yeah.
You can sign all the legal documents ready. It sell to you for 10, 15, 20,000. You buy a S-Class Mercedes-Benz at 30% discount. It's not illegal because everything is still under the guy's name, but it is not the guy who is doing it. So I have a few people, and namely, to name it, is that they come from almost the same two countries that we mentioned earlier, and they are selling it.
Okay.
It's an open secret. So that's why 2017, they remove it. The other one was also tax-free car purchase. Same thing. They change it. Okay, they remove it. Again, somebody will use other people's name to do it. Now, fixed deposit withdrawals. You can withdraw 50,000 or 150,000 out from the fixed deposit. You can do it with a car purchase, house purchase, school fees, and medical fees. So you can think very easily. If it is school fees and medical fees, you can just fake the bills and receipts, correct?
Yep.
Because immigration and MOTAC will not and cannot, they do not have the resources to call up all this and ask. And even if they ask, they are not going to get the answer. Imagine if the guy says, okay, this one looks not real at all. Let me call up the hospital. So they will call the hospital. I'm from Immigration Malaysia. I want to check whether this guy has this bill. Do you think the hospital will reveal? No. And furthermore, the immigration they don't have the time. Immigration or even the MOTAC doesn't have the time to go and check. So how do you verify that the bills and receipts are real? So that's why they ask for bank transfer documents. They want to see your bank statements that you have actually transferred money to the hospital or your credit card bills and everything.
Okay.
So an extra step for them to make all the fake stuff, you see?
Okay.
So again, steps are taken, but it may not necessarily eliminate it. It can reduce, but not eliminate it. So the new MM2H, they say that, you use your property purchase and straight away withdraw 50% out.
Okay.
So it is easier, and they can track whether you have bought a property or not. Okay. So don't bank on it that, no, they're not checking now, but they could be checking next year, and they could just terminate your MM2H because you have not bought a property. So that is abuse. So abuse is not necessarily illegal, but it really hurts everybody.
Okay.
Fraud hurts everybody, and it is illegal. So I believe that is the kind of in-depth thing that probably our viewers and listeners are looking at it.
Yeah.
And I certainly hope that if they have any questions, they can always come directly to me. I've already answered a few things, like for example, why you need through an agent.
Yep.
Because it's all this fraud and abuse that's happening. At least with an agent there, they can hold the agent by the neck.
Yep.
Okay. So for all the Domus, we do everything legal, so we are not worried about any of these things happening. The only thing that we find it very cumbersome is that we have to go through the extra hoops like the certification by the embassy or HICOM, just because a group of people are doing the fake documents.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
So I think that's about all that I have here.
Yes, that was a really insightful conversation, and I think our viewers will find will find it very helpful to them. But I'm sure there's going to be a few more questions that they have, because I'm sure everyone's situation is different. So
correct.
Yeah. So if they have any questions, they can leave them in the comment section down below.
Thank you.
But yeah, thank you very much, TG.
Okay, let's enjoy our food now.